Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you so much for joining me for this very special interview. Okay, so first, before I introduce this individual, currently he is in quarantine right now because he is got the little bit of the COVID. But hey, we wish him the best in recovery. But other than this individual right here, holy smokes! Like that's all I got to say is holy smokes about this man. He had a great match with one Scorpio Sky on Late Night Dynamite, which you guys could definitely check out in the link in the description. But what's interesting about this individual is that he made waves before even making on AEW Dark, because he's, of course, a UK indie star that made waves and then made it to the US. And get this, he made it to the US all the way for a soccer scholarship. And that's to me is absolutely amazing. I mean, he's been in promotions not only in the UK scene but also in the United States as well. And just the fact that he's a young up and comer, taking the world by storm with his professional wrestling and already putting on some banger matches. I mean, before I get into the introduction, the match versus Lee Johnson on AEW Dark. Oh my goodness, that was absolutely amazing. But enough of I'm rambling on, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, introducing the Prodigy, Ben Carter. How are you?
I'm not too bad, mate, all things considered. So cheers for the intro. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and again, I do appreciate you taking the time and opportunity, especially after probably a really crazy couple of weeks for you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. So I always start these interviews off with a spitball or fireball question, just to always get the mood set for these interviews. So the question I have for you is considering the most controversial question of all time: do pineapples belong on pizza?
It's like it's not my first choice, really. But I mean, like, I don't hate it. Like, if someone rocked up with a pineapple pizza and was like, "You want a slice?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take one." So I'm kind of like, people are kind of like, "You love it or you hate it." I'm kind of like 50-50. I'm like, I mean, it's definitely not my first choice, but it's probably not my last. So I don't know. It's all right. I guess it does.
Hey, personally for me, I don't care about pineapples. I love pineapples. But, when it comes to pizza and, of course, the Hawaiian pizza, I love everything else except for the ham. So let's leave the ham out of the question.
Yeah, I've got like one of my best mates is Hawaiian, and he happens to hate the Hawaiian pizza. I'm like, what? Like, you're a fraud. Like,
Yeah. So speaking about Ben Carter, of course, as we were talking about before the interview had just started, just how much you've been making waves over the past several weeks. I mean, obviously, we've seen articles put out about you saying that you're the hottest and youngest rising star in professional wrestling. Even before your AEW Dark appearance, which was your first AEW Dark appearance, was a couple of weeks back against Ricky Starks, and just the way that you've been making waves, not only with, just like I mentioned before, with AEW Dark, but also with Warrior Wrestling and all the other professional wrestling promotions that you've been a part of as well. I think it's awesome that you're really making an upstart during a time where everything's kind of put to a pause.
yeah. I've been like, so like fortunate to actually like continue to wrestle on like pretty much like a regular basis. Like I've been, I've put in the work to get on all of these shows, but the shows that have really started back up, like the big ones that have been, enforcing social distancing, they've been like running outside and they've been able to like put on shows, and I've managed to get on them and kind of like make an impact on them. So I've just been, it was a little bit of luck and a whole lot of work, but I managed to make things happen in a bloody crazy era that we're kind of living in. So I mean, like, it's very surreal to me, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to Ben Carter, there's always that famous nickname. There's the Prodigy of pro wrestling. Something I got to ask off to start the interview off is, where did that nickname for you start? Was it beginning, or was it just something that you just came up on the spot?
Right from the beginning, yeah. Like when I first kind of stepped into a wrestling ring, I was I was basically like 16 years old at the time, and there was one promotion in my like little island of Jersey that I come from. It's a very small island in between England and France. So there was one promotion. Um, so, I just felt like once I stepped into a wrestling ring and I was trying everything, and I was having so much fun, and like, I was like kind of like spitballing ideas for names, and just like organically, just like that popped into my head. The Prodigy of pro wrestling. It's got a nice bit of like alliteration to it as well, and in my opinion, and like there are a lot of people who call themselves like the Prodigy in professional wrestling, but like I always believed, and I still do believe that like I am like I feel like I embody that. I don't think like the Prodigy. It's not like a tagline. It's not like a gimmick. Like I have full like faith and ability. Like I guess faith in my ability and to live up to that name to like the fullest extent. So I get one day I'm gonna I'm not gonna be a Prodigy anymore because like you can't stay young forever. But I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But yeah. I think that name is I think it's suitable for me.
Absolutely. And it proves well. I mean, the way that you present professional wrestling inside the ring, holy smokes, the quick pace, the already, kick out at 2. Wait a minute. How is he still going? Just like if you look at the matches that you've already had on television, and of course on YouTube as well. The way that you just keep going at a fast pace, like there has to be some sort of motivation for that.
I mean, like it's just like adrenaline. Yeah, I mean, like, it's still at this point just like being in a wrestling ring is just it's just like so cool to me. So I don't know. I guess it's adrenaline. I do get like very blown up because I do tend to go like that a lot. But yeah, man, it's just excitement really and adrenaline. Like that's all I can really like chalk it down to.
Absolutely. And of course, some key matches thus far in just the past several weeks of Ben Carter being on AEW Dark and as well as AEW Late Night Dynamite, and of course, Warrior Wrestling. Some big names in there that you have faced already. You're talking about Ricky Starks. You're talking about Brian Cage, the Machine. You're talking about just Lee Johnson, who, of course, the AEW Dark regular, but you put on one of the most, if not, I'll even say the greatest AEW Dark match in probably its history.
Yeah, so like people have been saying that, and Lee's great. Like he's like he's his record doesn't say that, but I mean, goddamn, dude, like he's like one day like he's gonna be like one of their top guys, like 1,000%, and his time, especially like after the match we had, I feel like it's coming, But people are saying that like it's the greatest AEW dark match of all time, which I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Like, thank you so much. But I also think like, I mean, like Joey Janela and Kenny Omega had a pretty good one. like that was pretty crazy, but that was in front of fans. But I do think that in this like COVID era, I think that's a pretty good argument to say that it probably was.
And of course, coming from the British Channel, like you mentioned before, in between England and France, growing up as a professional wrestler, was that an easy, an easy process for you being in an area like the British Channel, growing up as a professional wrestler, or was it more kind of, I kind of have to find my way to find this passion?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, there was like one promotion on the island, and it ran like very sporadically. So
Mhm.
I'd wrestle maybe like once every like 3 or 4 months, and like training wasn't like necessarily a regular basis. So, and I felt the need to, I guess, branch out. And well, first of all, you kind of like with Jersey being such a small place, you don't know what it's like to live in the real world to begin with until you get out of Jersey, because it's like a little bubble, it's like a little paradise, But
Mhm.
and that kind of applied for wrestling as well. I needed to get out of Jersey if I wanted to chase my dream. And I thought at this point the British wrestling scene hadn't blown up yet, and America was the pro wrestling capital of the world, and I said I've got to go to America to if I really want to be serious about this, and I really did. So, my ticket to being here in the States was a soccer scholarship. So I'm like very thankful for that. I've played soccer all my life at a really high level. Maybe in an alternative universe, I'd be playing pro soccer as well, but I chose this path. I'm very glad I did. I love this with all my heart. So
Absolutely. And what's awesome too was that in just the story of Ben Carter too, you came to the United States on a soccer scholarship, and not only that, but you were pursuing that soccer career, but then you were doing some pro wrestling on the side. And what I do want to ask was that when you got that soccer scholarship, before we get into more into the wrestling career, uh, what was that kind of transition from going to where you're from in the British Channel all the way to the United States?
yeah, at the time, I really wasn't ready for it. I felt like, like I would remember being on the plane and like my parents were like flying over with me to like they were going to be there for the first week to help me like kind of settle in. And I looked at them and I don't mind saying this now, but like I like started crying. I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to like live without you guys, like so far away from home? But like, as soon as I was there and as soon as I was like getting into my training and like meeting everyone, like I felt at home straight away. And like a week later, I like said to my parents like I'm gonna be happy here, and I was. So yeah, I mean like it's a perfect example of kind of like chucking yourself in deep waters and hoping that you swim, and I swam. So
And that's an awesome story, especially like I mentioned before, just getting that scholarship, and then really pursuing your passion, whether that was through an alternate universe doing the soccer gig, or doing professional wrestling.
yeah, so I'd like wrestle behind like my coach's back, and like I'm like vocal about my love for pro wrestling. I'm not ashamed by it in any single way. I want everybody to know. And like so, you know, people knew that I was wrestling, so it kind of got to my coach, and my coach was like originally, saying like, "Oh, that's fun, but like don't do it whilst we're in season, I need you. You're one of like my top players." So, of course I didn't listen to him and I kept wrestling anyway, and I eventually got caught, and you know, I mean, it didn't go too great, but I was able to get back in his good graces quickly enough. But I'd wrestle behind my coach's back all the time, and it's funny because like now with everything that's going on, he like messages me saying like, "I'm really really proud of you," and I was so I know I kind of made the right decision about those experiences. I wouldn't be like the wrestler I am today. So yeah, it was kind of a leap of faith.
Absolutely. And it's awesome to see that you're pursuing your passion. Even if there's little blockades here and there, you're still pursuing it, and you're still showcasing that passion through your professional wrestling.
Yeah, dude. Like I just like I don't know. I just think that I'm like incredibly lucky that I've found something that I like genuinely love and happen to be good at. I feel like if you've got those two things, if you're talented at something and you've got a passion for it, like I just think I just think like those kind of people are really lucky that I'm so thankful that pro wrestling just exists and I'm able to kind of do like so many cool things, go to so many places that I would never have gone to if wrestling wasn't a thing. So
Yeah, absolutely. And just I'm so curious too, because I talked to a lot of people that appeared on AEW Dark, and the fact that they take a lot of talent that is usually are urgent to get that more exposure or something like that. So the question I have for you next is that when you got that call to go to AEW Dark, was it excitement? Was it like finally, or was it just mind blowing?
no, not. It was definitely not a feeling of finally. It was a feeling of like, oh my god, like this is happening now. like what? Like I've got to like pinch myself. That like it's the complete opposite. Like I was nowhere near expecting like me to get a shot on a major promotion. My biggest I guess train of thought was, oh crap, I might have to leave the country soon, and I've got to go back to the UK scene, essentially start over again and make brand new connections and kind of work my way from the ground up over there. So like when I got the when I got the call, I was like, I can't believe it.
Right. Yeah, that's again that's awesome to get that call and to get that notification. I'm like, hey, like we would love to have you go down, face Ricky Starks.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, it was a crazy feeling because I've got a lot of faith in my ability, and I knew that obviously I was nervous, and as any normal, I feel like human being would be in that situation. I feel like if I wasn't really nervous for it, there was something wrong with me. But I think one thing I've learned over the past couple weeks, especially, is that surprisingly, I kind of, I guess, thrive under that pressure. Well, I have been so far, so it's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just the performances that you've had over the past. Oh my goodness, that was a part of the, that was not the sound I was looking for. But the just over the past couple weeks, you know what I mean, of Ben Carter, just you're killing it, man, and I wish nothing but the best in your future.
Thanks, man. It's been like very very crazy, like very like overwhelming. Like it's kind of everything you dream of at this kind of like stage of your career, and it's to see so many like comments and people saying like how well I did. It honestly it means a lot, and like I literally like I read every single one of them because I'm like sometimes I'll just like type in my name on the Twitter search bar and I see like all the comments and I'm like, wow, people are like paying attention like to me. Like this is insane. Like so it's great, man. The American dream is real.
Absolutely. And one of the things I was interested in too, because you said you've had this passion for professional wrestling for so long. When did that start for you?
So I like my dad was flipping through the channels when I was like 10 years old, maybe 9, 10, and it like cut to WWE, and it was like Batista like giving a spine buster to Great Khali, and like, my little like 10-year-old brain was like, no way, that was so cool. So like that was the thing that hooked on it. It's funny now, like people from who who grew up watching wrestling Attitude Era will be like, oh yeah, it was like Stone Cold versus The Rock, like Triple H, like Kane, Undertaker, and for me it was like Batista versus Great Khali. So yeah, that's kind of the point around like 2007 that I kind of just first started watching it, and like I was just one of those people, man, who never grew out of it, and I'm so happy that I ended up being one of those people.
Absolutely, man. And it's cool. It's actually kind of cool now that you said it because Great Khali versus Batista. Woo, that's a that's a great choice.
Yeah, I mean, like for a 10-year-old's brain, it's the best thing ever. But I can't imagine it was. It's not the most flat view that people have ever talked about. But I mean, hey, it worked on me, so
Absolutely. Well, Ben, I do want to thank you so much for being a part of this interview and getting this conversation. I do appreciate your time. We do wish you the best in your recovery from quarantine, and hopefully we'll see you back in AEW Dark. But before
I'm
we go,
fine.
but say that again.
I was just gonna say I'm fine. Like I'm good. Like the only thing I'm gonna die of is boredom or going crazy. but but for
Yeah,
now, I'm all good. So
yeah,
I
but of course
appreciate
we
what
always
you
like to
said.
wish. Well, of course, we always like to wish the best. But before we go, I always like to do this last segment called Three Fun Questions, where I always ask the interviewee, just there's some three fun questions, just to get the mood in. The three fun questions I do have is on my phone, so hopefully I could see it without squinting. So the first question that I have on here is favorite finisher.
Interesting. I love me a good RKO, dude. I really do. Like I'm gonna go, yeah. RKO has to be.
Awesome. All right. Well, I mean, hey, I love the RKO too. It comes out of nowhere. That didn't sound good. All right.
Damn, I
Second,
love it.
yeah. So, second question I have on here is: out of all the matches you've had on Dark thus far, and of course we could count Late Night Dynamite as well. Favorite match that you're proud of?
Oh God, I'm really proud of them all. I think the Scorpio Sky match was I think that was the most high pressure situation I've ever been in my life. You know, I had like Jericho rock up in Gorilla like 5 minutes before I was about to go out, saying like, "Oh, like Tony, do you need me on commentary for this?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man, go out there." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Chris Jericho's just rocked up." So if if the pressure wasn't on, it's certainly. But so part of me thinks that is my favorite, just because I felt like I coped really well under the circumstances. But also, um, the Lee match, I'm also so proud of as well, because it's like he's, you know, he's my age, and we both went out there and we both wanted to prove a point, and I think we more than did that. So, you know, I can't pick between those two matches, man. I'm equally as proud, you know, of both of them.
Absolutely. And of course, make sure you guys check out those two matches. Link will be down in the description below. And then finally, the third and final question I have for you is, out of, just being at a young age, still pursuing your professional wrestling career, do you still ever get like goosebumps in professional wrestling?
Well, yeah, 1000%. Yeah, like any time that like I get to like step into a wrestling and wrestle, especially when it's like, you know, on a show that, you know, everyone watching, and like it's just like it's so cool to me. Like I honestly, like, you know, I get goosebumps just like watch everything back, and like hell, even like talking about it. Like, you know, I'm glad that the fire is still burning as strong as it ever has, and you know, I can only see like the flame burning brighter and bigger as time progresses. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to a very long career in this business. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ben, for being a part of this interview. For those who don't know, you could follow Ben on all social medias. Link will be down in the description below. And also, like I mentioned before, check out his matches, man. Like, come on. The match against Scorpio Sky, absolutely amazing. Same thing with Lee Johnson, absolutely amazing on Dark. And I'll even put, Ricky Starks versus Ben Carter on there, just to add a little bit more flavor. But other than that,
yeah,
thank you guys
one
so much for
thousand
tuning.
percent.
Yes, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until we see you guys again, I will see you guys in the next interview.